For years, Victoria Beckham was known for one thing almost as much as her fashion empire: her silence. The woman who built a brand on restraint, control, and elegance rarely showed emotion in public. She let her clothes and her image speak while tabloids tried and failed to drag her into scandals. But one night in London, that perfect composure cracked. It was supposed to be just another glamorous gala, flashbulbs, champagne, designers showing off, celebrities pretending not to compete. Victoria was there to present an award, calm and polished as ever, when her voice suddenly shifted. She gripped the podium, looked straight at a journalist, and said 7 words that turned the entire room ice cold. "I kept quiet too long. People need to know what she did." No name, no context, just that line. Yet everyone knew who she meant. Within minutes, an 11-second clip spread online. By sunrise, it had millions of views, and the internet was exploding with one name: Meghan Markle. The woman who'd spent years saying nothing had finally spoken, and in doing so, she shattered one of the most carefully built images in the modern celebrity world. But to understand why that moment mattered, you have to go back to when everything between them began, back when the two women weren't enemies but allies. When Meghan first entered Britain's royal orbit, she was a newcomer to a world she didn't fully understand. She was the Hollywood actress stepping into centuries of royal tradition, facing tabloids ready to tear her apart for the smallest misstep. Victoria had lived that pressure before. She knew what it meant to be stalked by photographers and shredded by headlines. So she did something rare for her. She reached out. She sent her private contacts to Meghan, stylists, PR experts, spa owners trusted by the elite. She even offered to help Meghan navigate the fashion side of her new life. Soon they were seen together, whispering at Wimbledon, smiling for cameras like genuine friends. Victoria's team began sending custom pieces to Kensington Palace. Meghan wore them. The coverage was glowing. 2 powerful women, side by side, one royal, one fashion queen. For a while, it looked like an alliance built on mutual respect and quiet strength. But somewhere beneath the perfect surface, tension began to grow. By late 2019, whispers started drifting through London's media circles. Someone close to Meghan was leaking personal details to the press details. Only her tight inner circle could know. No one was named, but one name started to repeat: Victoria Beckham. It sounded absurd. Victoria guarded her privacy more fiercely than anyone. But suspicion doesn't need proof. It just needs fuel. And soon, Meghan's attitude reportedly changed. Invitations stopped. Messages went unanswered. People noticed the distance. Victoria, once a trusted confidant, suddenly found herself outside the royal circle. There was no confrontation, no clear fallout, just a wall of silence. Then, almost as quietly, came another blow. Victoria had been preparing a children's hospital charity gala, a project she believed in deeply, and Meghan was supposed to co-host, bringing royal attention to raise millions. But insiders claimed Meghan's team pulled her name from the event, citing brand alignment issues. An alleged email later surfaced saying the Duchess preferred a different sponsor. Overnight, Victoria's name vanished from the posters. She had already donated designs, paid deposits, and invested her time. Friends said she was humiliated, cut out without warning, dismissed as too commercial to stand beside royalty. That was when pain turned to resentment. Years passed in silence, each woman building her own empire, their lives seemingly separate. Meghan and Harry left the UK, started new ventures in California. Victoria focused on fashion, staying out of gossip. But the wound never healed. Then came that gala night, the moment Victoria finally spoke. In just 7 words, she reignited a story the world thought was buried. And what followed was chaos. David Beckham posted a family photo with the caption, "Truth always comes out in the end." No tags, no explanation. But fans knew it was a message. Within hours, celebrities quietly took sides. Models, designers, influencers, many dropped subtle hints of support for Victoria. A friend posted, "Some people mistake kindness for weakness." Meanwhile, Meghan's circle went silent. Oprah? Silent. Serena Williams? Silent. Even Prince Harry said nothing. Paparazzi caught him at the airport, expression tense, refusing to answer questions. The silence from Meghan's allies only amplified Victoria's power. Every hour she stayed quiet made Meghan look more defensive. And then came the explosion that no one expected, a short audio clip, 14 seconds long, uploaded anonymously. A woman's voice, sharp and recognizable, said, "She's lucky I don't say what I know about her." No names, no context, but the uploader claimed it was Meghan Markle speaking about Victoria Beckham. The clip hit millions of views overnight. Fans argued, experts analyzed the voice, hashtags trended, Meghan's defenders struggled to respond, some deleted tweets, others posted that they didn't know what to think anymore. Through it all, Victoria said nothing. Her camp refused to comment, but one insider said she was disappointed but not surprised. Those 5 words cut deeper than any accusation. They implied history, knowledge, and quiet endurance. For the first time, the public began to wonder if the woman who'd spent decades mastering silence had endured more than anyone realized. Rumors soon followed claims that Victoria was considering her first ever sit-down interview, one where she'd finally address what happened with Meghan. A friend told reporters she feels people only know half the story. She's ready to tell the rest. That one quote was enough to send Meghan's PR team scrambling. According to insiders, there were emergency calls, crisis meetings, and discussions of legal action, all before Victoria had spoken a single new word. The power dynamic had completely flipped. Victoria didn't need interviews or statements. Her silence was doing all the talking. The more Meghan's team tried to manage the story, the more people saw desperation instead of control. Suddenly, the internet began rewriting the narrative. Victoria, the quiet professional who'd been wronged. Meghan, the manipulator who'd burned bridges. Whether true or not no longer mattered. In the court of public opinion, perception is everything. And right now, perception belonged to Victoria Beckham. By the end of that week, the story wasn't just about 2 women anymore. It became a commentary on truth, betrayal, and the cost of silence. Victoria's followers filled her posts with messages, "Proud of you, real class never needs a microphone, we believe you." She didn't reply to any of them, she didn't need to. Her silence had already spoken louder than words. When reporters finally caught her leaving her fashion studio days later, she smiled faintly but said nothing. Yet when one journalist asked, "Why now? Why speak after all these years?" Victoria finally gave a single sentence. "I stayed quiet because I thought it would protect everyone, but all it did was protect the wrong person." That line went viral within minutes. Every magazine, every outlet, every influencer quoted it. It became a mantra of quiet revenge, the elegant woman reclaiming her narrative without ever raising her voice. Meghan's camp, meanwhile, still had no official statement. The longer the silence dragged on, the more it felt like confirmation. David's words, "Truth always comes out in the end," echoed across every headline. What made the moment even more powerful was how understated it all was. No shouting, no interviews, no lawsuits. Just silence weaponized as strength. Victoria had mastered the one move Meghan never expected, doing nothing and letting the world draw its own conclusions. It wasn't about fashion or fame anymore, it was about dignity. And as the dust settled, even those who once doubted her began to admit she had played the long game perfectly. She waited, she watched, and when the time was right, she let 7 words undo years of speculation. In the end, the woman who built an empire on silence used that same silence to win the loudest war of her career. Her message lingered long after the viral moment faded, that truth doesn't always need to scream to be heard, and that sometimes the quietest voice in the room is the one that changes everything.